This is Tim Green, and I love Jross-tv.
What's up, YouTube? This is Jross hanging out with my boy Tim Green, saxophone extraordinaire, hitting with Christian McBride and Inside Straight. What's up, T?
What's going on, Jay? How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good with it. Let's get on. Hey, the way you play that sax, man, I mean, I had to take tons of practice. What was your practice regimen growing up?
Oh man, I played the saxophone because I loved it, and when I was in high school, man, I practiced about 5 hours a day. Did a lot of work, a lot of practicing, man. Before people got to school, I was at school before they got to school, and I stayed when people left. When I got home, I practiced in the basement. My mom told me to stop practicing. I would go down to the bathroom and stop practicing. So it takes a lot of practice, man, to play on this level.
So what about like sacrifices as a child? You had to give up like baseball, football.
Oh, absolutely, man. I was into baseball, basketball, all types of things. Ninja Turtles. I played a lot of pool. I got 3 brothers, so I was into all the things that a teenager or a young child would be into. But I gravitated towards the saxophone because I love the music so much. I love jazz so much. And hey, man, you make those sacrifices, but it's not really a sacrifice if you love it. Because I love saxophone and I love jazz, so I didn't really say it's a sacrifice because I really loved it.
So you started off, your first instrument was drums?
Yeah, man. My first instrument was drums. I started on drums when I was like 9 years old. And then I went on to the trombone. And eventually my band director at Rockland Middle School gave me a saxophone because there were too many drummers in the band. So she gave me a saxophone and I ended up sticking with it.
Hey, but now with jazz and playing the sax the way you play it so dynamically and with all these different time signatures, what is it? How do you count that? I mean, do you feel the music, or are you counting in your head, or do you see the notes?
Well, one thing that's really important for any musician, no matter if you're a drummer or a bass player, I guess one misconception is that only drummers practice with metronomes, but being a saxophone player, you have to practice with a metronome because a lot of times you might get different songs in different meters. You might get songs in 7, you might get songs in 4, but you have to be a good keeper on time on your instrument, no matter if it's the drums or bass or whatever it is. So it's just practicing with a metronome. Every day I practice with a metronome. Put the metronome on 60, and I practice all my scales and long tones with the metronome. It's very important because everything you play should be in time.
Now, you back in the day, you played with Israel and New Breed, and now you play with Christian McBride.
Yeah.
Man, that's a juxtaposition, man. That's like totally opposite.
I'm telling you, man, I've been blessed and fortunate to play with Israel and New Breed, Fred Hammond. I've recorded with Mary Mary, Minna Standard, a lot of different people, man. So, I've been very fortunate, but jazz was always my true love. And I started getting into gospel after Marvin Thompson with Mo Horns. He started hiring me and calling me for a lot of gigs. He took me on the road with Israel and New Breed, on the Minstrels Advance, the thing, I think it's on YouTube, you can check that out. And a few different things. So, I gravitated towards that. And then I went up to the monk school in LA, and I started really getting back into jazz, and here I am now, Christian McBride, just subbing for Steve Wilson.
Right.
Yep.
So, but is it that jazz is more challenging for you? It emanates in your spirit more?
I mean, it was the first thing that grabbed me. Some people say there's a certain type of music that grabs you first.
Funk.
Yeah, some people it's funk. Yeah, some people it's funk. But jazz was the first type of music that grabbed me. My father would play a lot of jazz CDs, and he played a jazz CD from, I'll never forget this moment. He played GRP Big Band. I was 12 years old. He played the CD and it just grabbed me, and so ever since then I wanted to play jazz so I can give people that same feeling that it first gave me, that inspired me to play jazz.
The last question, cats coming up under you, what's one of the most important things you can tell them to prepare themselves for a life of traveling and touring?
Most importantly, it's important that you be a good human being, because being on the road, 10% of the gig is on stage. So just try to be a good human being and really practice the fundamentals of the music. Practice your long tones, practice your rhythms if it's drums, practice intonation, practice, learn a lot of tunes, learn how to interpret tunes, because a lot of times you play in different genres. You might have to interpret different types of music from different artists. If I'm playing with Israel New Breed, which was a while ago, I had to interpret those horn parts differently than I play with Christian McBride. So you have to be a good interpreter of music, but the most important thing is that your basic musicianship is intact. Your reading skills are intact. Your intonation is intact. You know a lot of music. You know how to play within a band. Because a lot of times you got to play in a band. You can't just always be the person that shines. You got to learn how to be a side man. It's a lot of different bags that you got to develop as a musician. I can go on and on about this. So.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Tim Green, sax man extraordinaire, hitting with Christian McBride in St. Louis. Tim, we gonna let you go, man. They waiting on you on the bus, man. I'm gonna holler at you later, dog.
Right.
YouTube, we out. Peace.
Sir.